a young lady come up here the other day, and she has 2 Thunderbirds in her driveway, in her garage rather, and she's taking them apart and she starts stripping them. She says, oh, it's not too hard. I said, yeah, wait till you try to put it all back together. So it's a process, but I love her energy. I love her enthusiasm that she's seeking to do it on her own. I said, hey, whenever you need some more information, you come back up here and we'll give you all that we can to kind of help you on your project. It's really, really exciting to see that. So you want to, after you disassemble it, you want to get back down to the metal. So once you get down to the metal, it doesn't matter whether the metal is in good condition or whether the metal is in bad condition. I think the very next step, at least what we do in restoration at City Classic Cars, I'm going to use a rust inhibitor. I'm going to treat the metal with a rust inhibitor at that time. Now, there's various brands out there. You use the brand that works for you. There are tons of them out there. And what it does, it treats the metal. And it also has a chemical process in it that it will, we say it turns rust into metal. It really doesn't, but yet that's probably the best way to describe it. It will also turn some of that rust that you have there and some of the cracks and crevices, it will turn it back. Normally it's going to come in a liquid form, and you're going to spray it or wipe it or paint it all upon the car. You let it sit for a period of time. The one I use, you just wash it off. You let it sit for a period of time, but you look at the one that you're using. But then once that's done, it's cleaned all up, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to clean up my metal in spots. I'm going to clean it up, and I'm going to use a coarser grit that just is a cleanup tool, and I'm going to clean up my metal so it's all beautiful, it's all white, it looks like new metal. That's what I want. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to put it in an epoxy sealer. Now, I use epoxy. I recommend you use epoxy. Some of your greatest cars, multi-million-dollar cars that are restored, they're restored with epoxy primer. That's going to be the foundation. Because see, what you're doing when you are painting a car and you're doing body work on a car, what you're doing is you're building a foundation, and so every layer that you put on the car, it stays there. Then you put another layer and it stays there, or the truck or whatever's going on, and it stays there. It doesn't matter whether the car is called Porsche, whether the car is called Ferrari, whether the vehicle is called truck, whether the vehicle is called Ford, Chevy. It doesn't matter. The process is the same, because we're not talking make and model, we're just talking metal. And so as long as you think about it from a metal perspective, whether I'm doing a Ferrari, or whether I'm doing a Porsche, or whether I'm doing a Chevy truck, it doesn't matter. It's all the same when you get down to the point and now you're building up body. You want to do it the same way. Now, yeah, there's some individuals, if they're doing a Ferrari and some individuals doing a Chevy, they may use a cheaper product on the Chevy and a higher end product or a higher end process on the Ferrari. I don't do that. I use one process. I use PPG epoxy primer. I don't cheat on my epoxy primer. The ones we use cost about $200 a gallon. There's some that cost $300 a gallon, $500 a gallon. You know, you can keep on going up the ladder, but you don't want one that's $40 or $30 a gallon for epoxy primer. You want a really, really good epoxy primer. So once I put it in an epoxy primer, if you want, once the epoxy primer is there, you can go and do body work right on top of the epoxy primer. Right then and there, you can start doing your body work. Now, I hear individuals say all the time, well, I don't use Bondo in my shop. Oh, we don't use Bondo. So what do you use? Body filler? Now, 3M, they say, well, I use 3M. See, I don't use Bondo. I use 3M. This is body filler. This is not Bondo. Well, Bondo is a trademark that the 3M company owns. And all your body filler is doing is smoothing things out. But if you have a dent, you have to remove the dent. Body filler is not designed to remove the dent. And so body filler has received a bad name. You look at this indentation on this truck here, which is designed to be there. Can you imagine filling this up with a foundation here so everything is smooth? If this was a dent, I'm going to weld some tabs on here and I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to pull it out so that that indentation is not there. And if it's this bad and I can't do it, then I'm going to just get me a new one, because this here is not applicable as far as repairing, restoring this actual piece. So you got to make that decision. And so the body filler is designed to smooth this car out, to make this car beautiful. Once you're finished with that, then you're going to come back and it's all finished and the body work for the most part is done. I call it raw body work. That's how I term it at City Classic Cars. Part A, okay, get my raw body work done. Once the raw body work is done, I transition it to another body technician. Once I transition it to the B part of that, now I want to do the final body work, which I'm going to call blocking.